Lindsay with the Gwinnett County Public Library, and today we'll be talking about how you can get started with your very first garden. When creating a new garden bed, we have to think about sunlight. Matching plants with the correct amount of sun exposure is a really big part of successful gardening, and mapping your yard sun exposure is really quite easy.
On paper, sketch a map of your area. Do include your home or apartment building, trees, hedges, fencing, and where you're hoping to create your new garden bed. On a sunny day, head out and make note of areas of shade on your map. Plan to do this several times in about 3-hour increments if possible. So early in the morning, mid-morning, noon, and mid-afternoon. This will tell you how much sunlight you can expect for your garden bed and help you select plants to match these conditions. Remember that the trajectory of the sun across the sky does change from season to season. This will have an impact on your areas of sun and shade.
So I recently moved, and that means this will be my first spring planting season, which is really exciting. You can see behind me what looks like may have one time been a flower bed. I'm not really sure. I do know that's been a long time since it's received any love, and it's definitely full of weeds. With all the rain that we've had recently, this means that pulling them out will be a lot easier, which is great. And I do prefer weeding over tilling, so that's what I'll be doing today. Let's get started.
Tilling has long been the go-to method for preparing a garden bed, whether that's for the first time or between seasons. However, I prefer the no-till method, which involves removing just this top layer of weeds or grasses by hand pulling or with a square-nosed shovel. This preserves the permaculture as it is. While I'm weeding, I do look for earthworms, which I definitely want to keep. I also look for rocks or large sticks. Small twigs, bark, and leaves are fine to leave and mix into the soil. Large sticks I remove, and rocks I set aside and will eventually use to help mark my rows when I begin planting. As you can see, I'm tossing all these weeds into my orange bucket. This will all be saved and used later in compost.
Now that we have a clean slate, it's a good idea to have our soil tested.
Sending off a soil sample to a local lab will yield an incredible amount of useful information, including identifying which nutrients are present and which are lacking, determining the percentage of organic matter, and measuring soil pH. Having this comprehensive view helps us choose plants that will thrive in the soil we have, or tell us what needs to be done to create the environment needed for the plants that we want. Here we have a pH scale. Nutrient availability is greatest mid-range, so it's no surprise that the majority of vegetables are happy in soil with a pH between 6 and 7. So 6.5 may be a good target pH. There are exceptions to this, of course. For example, blueberries and azaleas prefer more acidic soil. Cucumbers, spinach, and geraniums grow best with less acidity. Soil pH is regional and can be difficult to alter on a large scale. We can, however, adjust pH in specific locations. When planting in clusters, choosing plants with similar pH tolerances is important. Lime is added to increase pH, decreasing acidity. Sulfur is added to decrease pH, increasing acidity. Amending soil is best done in the spring, with additives applied just around the roots. It is easiest to grow plants that already match your current conditions. Selecting plants that are happy in the soil you have is simpler than continually working to create the soil environment for the plants that you want.
If sending samples to a lab seems way too serious, or you just don't want to wait the 2 to 3 weeks to get results, there are at-home test kits that you can use. And these kits will give you a general idea as to the quality of your soil and measure pH. Using these factors and adding good quality compost to your garden bed is a great first step. To me, compost is magic. It's vital for the health of our plants. Luckily, it's easy to make. You can absolutely do it on your own. You just have to think in greens and browns.
Composting is essentially the combination of greens, nitrogen, and browns, carbon, with microbes in the presence of air, sun, and water. Check out this list of green and brown materials. Start off with a 50-50 mixture of each. Say you add veggie scraps from making dinner. Just add a couple handfuls of dry leaves and give it all a stir. Compost should not smell like anything other than just earth or soil. If it's foul-smelling, add more browns. If your pile is growing and you're stirring and nothing seems to be happening, add more greens. The following items should never be added to your compost. Be careful to avoid them. Make a list if it's helpful, and color-code it if you like. I keep mine taped inside the cabinet beneath my sink.
There you have it, the basics in beginning your first garden. We reviewed how to assess sunlight, or pick a spot with enough sun or shade for the plants that you'd like to grow, how to test soil and amend it if necessary, and we've covered the primary steps in composting. I hope that you found this helpful, and you now feel more confident in beginning your first garden. Once again, I'm Lindsay with the Gwinnett County Public Library, and I hope that you fall in love with gardening.